Tēnā koutou katoa. Uh, Kua hui mai anō, ka hui mai nei, ko Russell Spratt tuku ingoa, he uri ati o ki whakarongotai Ngāti tō rangatira me Ngāti Raukua ki te tonga. E mahi ana au hei te kai tūhura au mai, nō reira tēnā koutou katoa. Hi everyone, and thanks for joining us. I'm Russell Spratt, and I whakapapa te ati awa ki whakarongotai Ngāti tō rangatira me Ngāti Raukua ki te tonga. And I'm the co-founder of Taumai, Tribe Group's specialist Māori recruitment practice, and GM Tribe Wellington. A very warm welcome to you all. I'd also just like to briefly introduce my colleague, James Brook, who's with us online today. James is the co-founder of Tribe Group, which includes Tribe Print, Tribe Tech, Tribe Leadership Executive Search, and of course, Taumai. Just a little bit of housekeeping as we crack on through. We're going to be providing a question and answer facility for you, which you'll see there. Do feel free to pop your questions in there as they come to mind during the webinar, and we'll look to try and answer those at the end if we have time. If not, we'll get back to you in written form in the weeks ahead. So do feel free to join in there. We're delighted to have so many participants join us today to launch our latest webinar series, Tribe Recruitment Group's Insight Series, where we aim to bring the latest thought leadership content relating to global and local talent insights. And as you know, I'll be talking about attracting and retaining kaimahi Māori staff and talent to your organisation. In order to do that, I've got a few parts that I'm going to be covering off just to give you a sense of where we're heading. I'm going to be talking about the Māori demographics and the Māori economy. There's some incredible things going on there. I'll then touch briefly on leadership and change as it relates to the Māori world. And we've also got a poll we'd love you to join in with, and that'll pop up and we'll pause and allow you to contribute there. Just a couple of questions, two-partai for you to join in on. Then I'll move through to education and training and talk briefly about the current Māori employment landscape. And then importantly, the issue of attracting and retaining kaimahi Māori. So that's the map. All right, so we're going to talk about how your organisation can develop a more inclusive workplace and attract kaimahi Māori, as you know. So before we do that though, I'd just like to set the scene as I said, just in terms of demographics. I hope you find this interesting. Aotearoa New Zealand's Māori population is youthful and it has really high birth rates, contrasting with the national population surge, which is actually driven by migration. The Māori population in 2023 is a younger one compared to the national average, and actually recent statistics released show that the estimated Māori population has grown to a staggering 904,100 people, and the median age for Māori is 27. The national median age is 38. Between 2013 and the 2018 census, the number of working Māori in New Zealand grew by a staggering 105,000 people. That's a 50% increase in 5 years. That has just smashed all of the projections that were made. People thought it would take 20 years to get to that. It just simply went off the chart. Employment changes based on that 3-year comparison see that the Māori population grew by 33% for the working population, non-Māori by 9%. During the same period, the labour force grew by 40.2% for Māori. You know, based on whakapapa, 1 in 5 people were of Māori descent in that census. There was a 12.5% or 108,000 people increase in the population of Māori during that time. And so now it's sitting at just under 1 million people, staggering 20% of our country's population. While the New Zealand European population is aging quickly, the Māori population is young. And of course, that means that the percentage of them in the workforce is going up astronomically. So that's an interesting fact for you to consider when you're thinking about employment. So the key point here is the Māori population is young, it's growing fast, and we think it's time for engaging with that cohort. Let's move on to the Māori economy briefly. Look, this is really positive news, even at a time of recession. The Māori economy plays a crucial role in driving Aotearoa New Zealand's economic success and its experienced growth, as I say. And this is projected to continue over the next 10 years. The Māori asset base has also grown at a significantly faster rate than the overall economy. Today, the Māori economy is valued at more than $70 billion, and it's estimated to be worth $100 billion by 2030. Employment growth in the Māori economy is a remarkable opportunity for Aotearoa New Zealand. Let's move on to education and training. Unfortunately, this is not a happy story. When we have a think about mainstream education, it just hasn't served rangatahi Māori or kaimahi Māori well. The stats tell us that. Māori attainment of secondary school and tertiary education sits disproportionately below non-Māori. Unsurprisingly, this impacts on employability and incomes for kaimahi Māori. This disparity represents an opportunity for you as an employer interested in attracting and retaining kaimahi Māori. And I'm going to come back to that point. Let's talk now about leadership and change. An increasing number of Māori are taking leadership roles in areas related to the economy, society, business, finance, health, law, social services, government, the whole landscape. And they're becoming increasingly influential, driving change and progress in their respective fields. This presents a chance to finally address the biases that label Māori enterprise as unsophisticated and narrow. Māori leadership is moving forward at pace, and now's the right time to be thinking about how you get noticed by this exciting Māori leadership cohort. I'd like to move on to the poll now. So if you would be so kind to now participate in that poll, I'll give 30 seconds and we'll see how that runs. Thanks very much. It should be on your screens now. Okay, thank you so much for participating in that. I'm having a wee technical glitch here where I can't see the results, so we may come back to those later, but thank you so much for oh, there we go, they're up now. So, well, that's a staggering result. So, very interesting. I see that most of you already have a strong commitment at senior level in relation to the kaupapa we're talking about. And very interesting to see in question 2 that there is a strong number of senior management positions. I'm delighted to hear that. I suspect that what you're about to hear now is somewhat validative of that whole outcome. So let's go back to that now. Thank you. All right. Just bear with me. I'm having a couple of technical issues here. All right. So the Māori employment landscape, it's dynamic, and generally speaking, it's got 3 sector groupings that we experience. The first of those is Māori organisations, and I'm sure there's many of you out there today, and that's iwi-owned organisations, runanga, Māori trusts, Hauora, PHOs, social services, primary industry operators, tourism, wānanga, etc. And there is an interesting wave across that in terms of pre- and post-treaty settlement. And then there's the state sector employers, and there's a huge range of roles supporting Crown Māori partnerships and obligations. And then we have the third grouping, and that's our private sector, our commercial employers, our NGOs, and our not-for-profits. Now, what's interesting about this is that there are a lot of moving parts. They're really interesting sectors in and of themselves. And if you're all represented on screen, you're all in competition with this vibrant market and the talent market that exists within it. So standing out with that group is really important across that landscape. I'd like now to move on to the main topic of our kōrero today, and that's attracting and retaining kaimahi Māori. Before we expand this kaupapa, I'd like to acknowledge that there are very real differences between attracting and retaining kaimahi Māori for Māori and non-Māori organisations. And I hope that that theme or truth comes through as I speak. But let's just set the scene. I think you'll agree that someone's employment is a personal and fundamental element of their lives. It's how they provide all sorts of things for them and their family. And there's a lot going on when someone decides to work for you. There's a heck of a lot at stake. And they don't want to make a mistake in choosing and joining your team, when choosing and joining your team. How they feel about where they work matters. And this is true when it comes to them deciding to join your organisation and how long they might stay. Most, if not all of us, want to feel that we belong, that we're listened to, that we're understood, valued, and that we can contribute. These elements are building blocks of familiarity, connection, trust, and confidence. Productivity too. Getting these building blocks right is a fundamental to attracting Māori talent. In Māori organisations, the sense of belonging and connection often already exists for kaimahi Māori through whakapapa and deep connection to the organisation's purpose, responsibility for whānau, and the innate understanding that all the staff has that they are part of the organisation and its kaupapa. They have licence to be who they are, and they're supported to be so. There is a whakapapa connection that's real, meaningful, and important. In mainstream organisations, that's not necessarily the default position for Māori. Over the 20 plus years that I've been supporting employers attract and appoint top Māori talent, I've learned that there are prerequisites to gaining the trust and confidence of kaimahi Māori to join your organisation. Building that trust starts at the top. We saw that in the recent poll. Staff want to see that their leaders are genuine about their interest in and commitment to Māori perspectives, and that the values of Te Ao Māori that they add to the organisation are respected. They want to know that they can be who they are as Māori, and that doing so is encouraged, supported, and valued. I've learned over time that this safe foundation for kaimahi Māori has to be authorised by those at the top of your organisation, as I've alluded to. And so it's therefore the responsibility of the board. They set the scene, they develop the strategy, they give permission. A key issue here is ensuring that your board know what it is that they're trying to achieve in this area. This might be to have their organisation help address inequities, to navigate Māori economy, to give effect to government treaty obligations. There are myriad reasons. There is a range of possibilities indeed. The important part is knowing why you want to incorporate Te Ao Māori and what you want to achieve by so doing that. The next step for non-Māori organisations is appointing Māori governance or board members to guide them or to guide you to do this. Ideally, your board members will be mana whenua, so from the area in which your organisation operates. And look, if not, I advise the board invite mana whenua to guide and partner with you in order to support your endeavours. And indeed, a mana whenua advisory group is one approach that I see and help facilitate. Developing a partnership agreement with Māori is something that is well understood and valued by many of us here in Aotearoa. Some would say it's woven into our DNA. Māori governance talent is highly sought after. And to attract these governors, again, you'll need to be extraordinarily clear about what it is you're trying to achieve and why. Once your organisation has begun incorporating Te Ao Māori into governance and the development of strategy, it's time to weave Ao Māori across your organisation. In the interest of continuing to create an environment that's focused on building trust and confidence with kaimahi Māori, the next step is to hire a suitably qualified and experienced Māori leader to your senior leadership team to guide and develop and implement your Māori strategy. Once your Māori board members and Māori senior leadership roles are up and running, your organisation will be better placed to develop specialist Māori roles to increase your capability and your capacity to weave Ao Māori throughout your organisation. Having roles that provide for kaimahi Māori to bring their authentic selves to work and use their unique Ao Māori skills and experience where they have permission and are encouraged to do so, will be enormously attractive and rewarding for your staff. Staff will feel connected, able to express themselves, and importantly, share their knowledge, insights, and perspectives. Do this well, and your organisation will be showing that you are a safe place for kaimahi Māori to work. Once your organisation is known to be a safe place for kaimahi Māori, you have a wonderful opportunity to develop into a learning organisation that encourages and supports your Māori staff to get involved in training and education that builds their skills, knowledge and confidence. I refer back to that inequity that exists in our country. This is your chance to show you actually care. Qualifications and experience link into satisfaction, employability, reward, recognition, all those things. This is a sweet spot for you. As you know, staff are valued when they're valued to be encouraged to be connected to their environment. They're more productive, they're happy, they're loyal, and they're developing. It's a win-win for you all. And next, referring back to the training, I suggest that you spend the time inside your HR areas to actually structure that, to give it form and function, and to involve your kaimahi Māori in what it is that they want to achieve in this particular area. Māori development and employment growth go hand in hand. Incorporating our Māori perspectives into the development of your policies and initiatives that reflect Māori values and culture, grounded in whānau-centric approaches to well-being, will also increase the trust and confidence of your kaimahi Māori. The Māori population, I'd like to summarise, the Māori population is young, growing fast. The Māori economy is growing fast too. Developing and implementing a strategy to attract and retain kaimahi Māori is a very sensible thing to do, and we think that it's the right thing to do. Build your capability and capacity. That strategy must be developed and led from the top. Appoint top Māori talent to support the development and implementation of this strategy. Create a culture that celebrates the contribution your kaimahi have to offer. Supporting Māori education achievement as part of their employment will improve your organisation's attractiveness to kaimahi Māori. So we're coming to the end of the webinar formal part now. And so I'll just sort of ask James now whether or not he has received any questions, any partai, as we've been moving through. And if so, if he would like to share those with us.
Russell, there's no questions in the chat now, but I would encourage people to send them through, and I can pick out a couple for us to answer.
Thanks, James. All right, and as we're waiting for that, and please do feel free to ask me anything that you'd like to in relation to this particular kaupapa. I'd welcome the opportunity to address those. So just in terms of other things that you might find interesting in relation to Taumai and our place in this really dynamic and important labour market, we'd be delighted to answer any questions that you might have beyond this conversation. And I know that the contact details are there for you to reach out to us. It would be our privilege to do so. We've had a wonderful opportunity to support a number of employers over the last couple of years and have created some just marvellous results for kaimahi Māori and also for organisations. We'd love to share those stories with you if that was appropriate. Okay. Any questions there, James?
I've just got some stuff coming through now, Russell. Just give us a minute. I think the chat might be disabled.
Gotcha. I could sing and rub my tummy and pat my head at the same time.
Oh, Russell, one of the questions here is, can you please repeat the name of those that you would recommend to give guidance to the board?
The name of those?
You talked about, they talked about consulting organisations that may be able to help the board if they weren't able to appoint somebody directly.
Oh, yeah, certainly. So what I was suggesting there was there's a couple of ways of doing that. So if you aren't able to attract mana whenua from the area onto the board, then there was the recommendation of having an advisory group from mana whenua. So that might have been part of the question. In terms of how people or who people can reach out to help them appoint board members, there are a number of places to do that. Inside Māori organisations, of course, there are boards and structures, and for non-Māori organisations, I would recommend that you respectfully look to approach those organisations to ask for their support. And I'm not trying to inundate them with these approaches. I mean, they're very busy people, but that is one approach. Another is that I mean, you could actually approach us about that, and we could look to navigate your specific need in that area. That's certainly something that we can help you with, and it would be a pleasure to do so. There are a number of consulting organisations that you can look at as well. So if you Google Māori governance, you'll see them pop up. A wonderful practitioner in Te Kupenga, who's here in Wellington. If you Googled his name, his information would come up, and he's a wonderful team of Māori consultants who are just first rate in terms of this kind of kaupapa as well. And then you could also look to perhaps explore some of the more mainstream and internationally linked consulting organisations, the EYs, those sorts of places. They also provide that kind of service. So look, there are a number of channels that you can find that kind of talent or to have an initial conversation anyway.
Russell, there's questions are flowing through now. There's a couple of questions just around how an organisation or how people within an organisation might highlight the importance of this to senior leadership team who don't necessarily currently prioritise it. That's come through from a few people.
Very good. Look, I'll jump in on that one because that's a really good question, because that's right at the nexus of that kaupapa that I was talking about, is how do you ensure, remembering that our discussion today is about how you attract kaimahi Māori to join your organisation, and in the absence of that clear messaging, then that's a drama for you, that's a barrier. And so that's why I'm suggesting extremely firmly that it has to come from the top. And look, this might not happen tomorrow. This could take 18 months, 2 years, 3 years to get right. Or it might happen in the size of 6 months. It just depends, you know, serendipity, all those kinds of things. The key part here is ensuring that your board, your chief executive, and some sponsors on your senior leadership team understand what's going on here. My experience with helping folk on senior leadership teams who don't, and I mean this really respectfully, don't get it. It's a matter of, I believe, a matter of working on an individual basis with them in order that they see there is absolutely nothing to be scared of here, that it's absolutely okay to have a full, frank discussion about their concerns, their observations of how this might be going off on a separatist path or whatever. I mean, there are all sorts of human responses to overcoming inequity and working in partnership. And so that's why I'm suggesting that it's actually your board and your senior leadership team members who are engaged who have to develop that strategy and that kaupapa and know what it is you're trying to achieve. Once that's done, there's light that comes out of that, and people can start to see it. And it's been interesting over the years. You see certain members of staff, senior staff, who don't get what is going on here, and then eventually through the organisation committing and doing certain things, start to lean in and realise, I'm not going to get hurt. I'm actually going to get a bit of a cuddle along the way, and away you go. So it's a very humanistic, it's a caring, compassionate, and it's a shared approach to these things. That's the way you overcome those kinds of attitudes, in my experience.
Russell, a couple of people have asked what candidates might or talent may look for as top things within an organisation that would attract them in, but equally what might turn Māori off coming and working with an organisation?
So the things that would turn Māori onto an organisation is an authentic approach to wanting to partner with and involve Māori inside their organisations. So generally speaking, in a Māori organisation, that's a slam dunk. In a lot of state sector organisations, over the recent history, I'm talking 10, 15 years, there's been extraordinary effort put into giving effect to treaty obligations. And so those organisations tend to have structures and jobs that very much reflect the kinds of kōrero that I just shared with you. And going onto websites, having a look at what they say about themselves, saying what they're trying to do, saying what they're doing, that's even better, getting evidence. So organisations that can provide evidence of their genuine partnership with Māori for the mutual benefit of this country we share is a cracking good start. Yeah, that's kind of the nub of the question, or my answer, sorry, James.
And things that would turn Māori off?
Oh, well, look, things that turn Māori off are things that turn all humans off, other humans, frankly, being disingenuous, being tokenistic, not listening, trying to tick a box, not doing the things that we talked about already in relation to your organisation going, we're taking this seriously. Have a look at our board, have a look at our senior leadership team. By the way, have a look at our Māori strategy. Interrogate that, test us, make sure it's tika, true, honest, all those things. If those things are not true, if those things don't stack up, it sticks out like a sore thumb. So, hopefully that's quite a straightforward problem to overcome because you're doing the right thing.
There's another question here about Māori candidates that are actually engaged in an interview process.
Yes.
Are there ways where an organisation can make it a more welcoming environment from that in an interview process for Māori in particular?
There are, and this is an interesting question to follow up on the previous one. So it goes to the authenticity of your approach to supporting Māori candidates into your organisation. So there's a couple of parts to this. One is, I think it's incredibly important that your organisation needs to know its tikanga in relation to the way in which it engages with Māori. Now, what I mean by that, I'll just use a quick example. So for some organisations, they are sufficiently comfortable with their own tikanga to be comfy to say to a shortlisted candidate that's coming in for a role, please, by all means, feel free to bring support with you. And say no more than that, because what they're saying is that's a part of the way we see the world, and that might be of interest to you. So that's part one. The other part, sort of part one / is that it's really important to check with Māori candidates what will work for them. And so when we're looking at your interview process and your systems and processes around HR recruitment, ensure that there is opportunity inside of those systems and processes to check in with your Māori candidates to find out what will enhance their comfort and with your process. That's really important. So there are a couple of Venn diagrams there. Whack them together and there's going to be some common ground in the middle. Here's the rub. One size does not fit all. There are going to be variations with that. And in fact, the bringing whānau support is an issue that we see oftentimes in the world that we operate in with Taumai here, where we are that conduit between those two worlds, sometimes a Māori world, sometimes a non-Māori world looking for Māori staff. So thank you for that question.
So Russell, there's too many questions for us to answer.
Okay.
Here's an interesting one. What would be some common reasons that businesses may not be able to retain Māori employees long term?
Two things. The one is the one that I've already covered off. Lack of authenticity, genuine commitment, understanding clarity around purpose, those things. If that's broken, that's outed pretty quickly. Another one, and you probably won't like to hear this online, it's actually scarce resource labour market for Māori talented staff, upward pressure on earnings, and what that results in as it relates to how long a person will stay with you and how they could get more money somewhere else. So the talented Māori labour market is it's under extraordinary pressure. In other words, demand outstrips supply. And so you've got that upward movement. So that's a very real potential pressure for you. So my advice to you is to ensure that you are doing your remuneration reviews, that you do understand what's going on in this dynamic area. Look, it's fair to say that at the moment there's a bit of a hiccup in the state sector. We all understand 1,200-day cycles, that will take its course. The perennial issue still exists, that there is an imbalance between supply and demand as it relates to Māori talent. Be aware of that, navigate it, do the right thing.
Thanks, Russell. I think we probably need to shut it down now. There are so many more questions that we can answer, and we will figure out a way to get back to everybody around the questions that they have asked. Someone has also asked the question about whether this will be available online, and yes, we can. We'll be working to make this available. There's also a couple of questions around engaging a bit further with you, Russell, directly, so we'll go back and answer those as well.
Fantastic. Thank you, James. And just now, by way of finishing up, I'd just like to extend a very warm thank you to everybody that joined in today that gave us an audience. We really do appreciate that. We love the work that we do in Taumai and the Tribe Group. We would love to engage with you. You can find the stuff that we do on our website. Again, thank you for the questions. Thanks for your commitment to us. We really appreciate it. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā rā koutou katoa. Kia ora.